Beyoncé was a dream. She was the loveliest person in the world and just knocked it out of the park. She would always listen to music, and she said to me, Mike, what are you listening to right now? And I said, oh, I'm just listening to Led Zeppelin at the moment. And she went, I think I'll listen to that Led Zeppelin. She had never heard of it. She was so young, and the whole crew was like, oh. And then the next day she was doing this, and I said, what are you listening to? She went, Led Zeppelin, they're great. I'm Mike Myers, and I'm gonna revisit some of my scenes from throughout my career. All right.
Okay, I still live with my parents, which I admit is both bogus and sad. But at least I've got an amazing...
You know, Canadians have this rise at the end, so every statement sounds like a question. So even if it's snowing, obviously, they'll go, it's snowing?
I've got an amazing cable access show, and I still know how to party.
And it's kind of like, linguistically, it's called the Canadian rise, which is, I'm gonna talk, then it goes down. And that means it's your turn to talk. So it's like, the other day, a guy came up to me, and he was really mad. Now it's your turn to talk, because I went down. And that's the accent for Wayne. But I put it in Chicago, because there's an aurora in Chicago, and there's an aurora just north of Toronto.
Ah, the Mirthmobile.
You had no money, so I thought the most that they could get is an AMC Pacer, and then they would put flames, decals of flames coming out of the wheel well.
I see a little silhouette of a man. Scaramouche, Scaramouche, will you do the fandango? Thunderbolts and lightning, very, very...
But what I remember most about this was fighting very, very hard for it to be Bohemian Rhapsody, and they didn't want to do it. They wanted to do Guns N' Roses, which I love Guns N' Roses, but I didn't have anything funny for it. And then Lauren was like, you really want it? I went, yeah. So Lauren fought for it on my behalf, Lauren Michaels, and Dana and I talked about 5 days ago about our necks still hurt from bum 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 bum. That was easily 200 takes over 2 nights in some town, I want to say El Segundo, or Cerritos, outside of Los Angeles. But I just couldn't believe I was in a movie.
It will be mine. Oh yes, it will be mine.
What was so much fun about this scene was the director, Penelope Spheris, who I fought very hard to be the director, even though she didn't have any comedy credits. She had done The Decline of the Western Civilization, a documentary about heavy metal that was so incredibly awesome and authentic. I knew that she would get the heavy metal part of it, and she knocked it out of the park.
Au contraire, baby. I think you can't resist me.
You're the one who makes me come running.
I'd always liked the Divinyls. I just couldn't believe there was a song called I Touch Myself, which, just to be honest, I still slightly, I may be blushing.
You're the sun who makes me shine when you're around.
There's something about sexuality that is corny. People get very, very serious about their sexiness, and to me it always makes me laugh because it's almost too arch, you know what I mean? So overt sexuality makes me laugh, and especially like really contrived dirty jokes make me laugh. The Fembots is something, it's a little bit from $6 Million Man, and it's a little bit from one of the Matt Helm movies, but I needed somehow to show that he has mojo. The reveal of the chest hair was just when I was a kid marveling at Sean Connery being part man, part beast, a crazy amount of chest hair. He had a pelt, if you will, more than chest hair. That scene was choreographed by a fantastic choreographer, Marguerite Derrick, who did all of the choreography for all the Austin Powers films. An absolute genius, because what she would do is go, what do you got? I took jazz dancing and tap as a child in Toronto. I would show her my moves, very, very influenced by Fosse. I had a fantastic prop man named Eugene McCarthy, and every prop that I had, Eugene McCarthy made it funnier, more user-friendly, just better than anything I could have imagined. So these are, one of the first movies I was doing, and I was very, very spoiled by just, what great artists I got a chance to work with, like Marguerite Derrick and Eugene McCarthy and Jay Roach and all of the people. Excellent, Basil. We've been trying for years to get a mole inside Dr. Evil's lair, and we now have that mole.
Yes. Ah, and here he is.
So you're the mole. Now, the reason I did the mole joke is that I just recently had it removed, but I had a giant mole on my face, and I had just gotten on Saturday Night Live, and these college girls, the kind of like mean girls, right? Were walking by. I was looking in a window, and they went, "That looks like Mike Myers." And I sort of did like that. She goes, "That's not Mike Myers. He's got that big, ugly mole on his face." And I was like, every time she said it, was like I got smacked in the face. "Yeah, you've never seen that mole? That big, ugly mole? Yeah, he's got a mole." And they said it like 20 times. And so it always just stayed in my head. Moly, moly, moly. Mole. Mole.
Oh, shut up! Mole, 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 mole.
That was improvised. One of the things with Jay Roach, the director, is we always get the scripted take, and then we get a series for what we call shizzies and gizzies, just to see what we got. More often than not, we'll pull from that take, usually to button a scene.
Listen, little donkey. Take a look at me. What am I?
Really tall?
No! I'm an ogre. You know.
Fairy tales were about the class system. You know what I mean? You had worker people, and then you had this people who were, for no reason, the king and queen. They weren't elected or anything. So I always thought that ogres were working people, growing up as a working person. So I thought I tried it as a Canadian. And it just didn't have any oomph. And then I said, can I record it again as Scottish? Because I know, fairy tales are a Eurocentric form. Scottish people are near and dear to me. I have relatives in Scotland and background in Scottish, and they're working people. It's a working people accent. And they went, "No, we like it the way it is." And I said, "Oh, come on, just let me." Steven Spielberg said, "Well, why don't you try it once?"
Okay, but one night only.
Ah, thank you!
He sent me a lovely letter, Steven Spielberg, saying, "You're so right. It's way better as Scottish. Thank you so much." They spent some money, but not the amount of money that has been reported in the press, I'd like to point out. And by the way, I recorded it all for free one more time, and just happy to do so because I wanted it to be good. And there we have Shrek being Scottish.
It's gonna be fun. We can stay up late, swapping manly stories, and in the morning, I'm making waffles. Oh! Where do I sleep?
I never saw Eddie Murphy until the press junket, but I fell in love with Donkey just hearing his voice through the headphones, and then when you start to see the animation, and I love that character, Donkey, and I wish Donkey lived in my house. I love that character so much.
Y'all just kidnapped a black man.
We've been kidnapping white men for years. We want to give you an opportunity as
What
well.
if the world was run by 5 people, but what if they were nice and not evil, that they were a benevolent secret society? I guess that's the Canadian in me, who has a eternal trust of government, because government's been very good to this Canadian. And what if a very unlikely local Canadian newscaster was the only person who could uncover the Pentaverate, who must never be exposed? I wanted to make something silly and fun, and something that's cinematic and has big sets and helicopters and stuff like that, because those are the type of movies that I grew up on and I love. And I wanted to make something that is a little like how British TV, where they make 6 and they go, that's it, unless we want to do more, but it's designed to be 6.
Basically, we're the good guys. We want you to trust us.
Why should I trust you, white man? Whiter man? Older whiter man? I don't know what the hell to make out of you.
The world is a little anti-expert right now. And the basic thing I just wanted to say was, it's a high tide that floats all boats, expertise. Everybody benefits from smart people and experts. But the experts need to serve the people, and the people need to trust the experts. But it's way sillier than that. It's everything I loved doing with Austin Powers. I was on Saturday Night Live, I did a character called Lothar of the Hill People, and it's always, holy shit, there's Lothar. And I'm like, of everything I've done, Lothar of the Hill People is the one. And I always go, yes, I am.